Good evening, everybody. Lawmakers across the country this evening are on high alert. The FBI is warning of plans for armed protests in all 50 state capitals. According to an internal FBI memorandum, those demonstrations and protests are scheduled to take place before, on, and after violence, in particular President Trump and his supporters. Anyone who dared to challenge the certification of the Electoral College. In what has been a stunning and sweeping fashion, President Trump has been permanently banned by at least 17 tech and social media companies, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. The blackballing doesn't stop with the president, certainly. The social media platform Parler today filed an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. That after Amazon Web Services suspended Parler from its cloud hosting services. Google and Apple also deplatformed Parler from their app stores. All of this happening within a matter of days, seemingly coordinated and in concert. The corporate effort to silence dissent from left-wing narratives is being driven hard by corporate America. Several other companies and tech giants are restricting or suspending political contributions now to both political parties. After those Capitol protests, at least 14 of the corporations have decided they now know best what is good for you, for me, our fellow citizens, on how to use public shareholder money to donate to the party of their choice. And they know better than the founders of this great nation what our rights of free expression should be. At the same time, the radical Dems today took another step toward their second effort to impeach President Trump. You remember the first time they tried this. It led to the humiliation of the Dems and the exoneration of President Trump. This time, the Dems, led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, are considering a single impeachment charge of, quote, incitement of an insurrection, end quote. Here is Pelosi admitting to CBS's Leslie Stahl that she wants to remove President Trump from office and to do so to block him from ever running for the presidency again.
There is a possibility that after all of this, there's no punishment, no consequence, and he could run again for president.
And that's one of the motivations that people have for advocating for impeachment.
Won't that take more than the 10 days? And does it actually make sense?
Well, I like the 25th Amendment because it gets rid of him. He's out of office. But there is strong support in the Congress for impeaching the president a second time.
Vicious and venal. House Republicans today blocked a Democrat resolution that called for Vice President Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and then to remove the president from office. For more on all of this, we turn to Fox News Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel in Washington. Mike.
Lou, good evening. After that action by House Republicans, that's leading to a quick pivot to an impeachment vote accusing President Trump of an incitement of an insurrection, likely Wednesday.
I know there are some people who think, oh, the president's leaving in 10 days. Let's just overlook it. Look, we took an oath to defend and protect the Constitution and our democracy. That responsibility falls to us. We have no other choice.
A House impeachment vote could come a week before Joe Biden's inauguration. A key Senate Republican says that's too late.
I don't think there's time to do an impeachment. There's 10 days left before the president leaves anyway. I think the best thing would be a resignation.
With Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying due to pro forma sessions, the Senate could not take up impeachment until around Joe Biden's inauguration day. A top House Democrat signaled Speaker Pelosi could hold the article of impeachment until spring.
It just so happens that if it did go over there for 100 days, it could be. Let's give President-elect Biden the 100 days he needs to get his agenda off and running, and maybe we'll send the articles sometimes after that.
A key House Republican blasted that idea that the Speaker could just save impeachment for later.
They're going to offer articles of impeachment. They're going to have a vote this week. And then Nancy Pelosi will merely hold those articles of impeachment so that the Senate continues with their activities and they're able to maintain the specter of Donald Trump instead of having substantive debate.
The impeachment resolution claims the president gravely endangered the security of the United States and its institutions, threatening the integrity of the democratic system, interfering with the peaceful transition of power. Lou?
Mike, thank you very much. Mike Emanuel, and we're off and running on 2021. It's not looking a lot brighter than 2020, is it? Mike Emanuel, thank you. We'll be taking all of this up on the broadcast this evening. We're joined by Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton, who himself has been blocked from using Twitter. Investigative journalist Sarah Carter with more on the left's crusade to silence conservative voices. We'll also be talking with Jeff Brain, the CEO of CloutHub, a privacy-focused social media platform that has seen a huge rise in users since Twitter's action against President Trump. We'll also be joined later by civil rights attorney and prominent Trump supporter Leo Terrell. And the radical Dems are beyond radical over the past weeks. Corporate America is now fully aligned with the authoritarian left in this country, violating outright constitutional rights of nearly every American. Listen to the developments over just this past weekend. The Speaker of the House of Representatives wanting to impeach the President of the United States for inciting a riot, but not citing a single sentence uttered by the President that would be considered by anyone inciting a riot. I'm perfectly willing to consider the possibility that he did so, but I would like most Americans, to insist there be evidence and for the left to present that evidence. So on this broadcast, we're awaiting that evidence the Speaker or the radical left can provide that the President ever once said or intimated any of the demonstrators last Wednesday go to the Capitol and break in and become an outrageous mob. Here is what the President did say.
We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections, but whether or not they stand strong for our country.
Peacefully and patriotically. And for that, he's in the crosshairs once again of Nancy Pelosi. So we await, Madam Speaker, and we would hope that others would wait along with us and not act in either the support of the president or the left without evidence. Too many on the left have already, however, acted. The left-wing national media, in all forms, seemingly has gone mad, imperiously warning corporate America against hiring White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany and other prominent Trump officials, implying clearly that doing so would result in Forbes baselessly categorizing any statement from a firm or executives who do so, whatever they say, would be lies in the view of police departments across the U.S. opened probes into whether their own members took part in the Capitol riot. In other words, if you see something, say something. If you don't see something, well, try to see something. Investigate everything and everyone. If you're not frightened right now about what this country could become, you're not paying attention. In addition to all of this, the radical Dems are calling for the censure of Congressman Mo Brooks and Congressman Louis Gohmert for daring to question the integrity of the election. At this point, it might be good to point out that these Democrats challenged the Electoral College certification of recent elections. 43 of them have done so since the 2000 election victory of George W. Bush, all without receiving vicious, venomous calls for retribution, censoring, or in any way retaliation. Here's just one example. Left-wing Congresswoman Maxine Waters was objecting to President Trump's victory in 2017.
I do not wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter of rejection?
There is no debate. The gentlewoman will suspend.
Runaway corporate power that it's bending its knee to the radical left, that will soon have absolute control of our federal government in a matter of just over 8 days. The rhinos in Congress are doing their best to move further left, and the leaders of the so-called Republican Party have demonstrated themselves to be no wiser, no braver, no more principled than when they lost control of the Senate and lost the presidency in the 2020 election. They have quite simply surrendered and are now little more than a fundraising organization. They are certainly no countervailing political force against the ideological left and the radical Democrats. Simply put, these are not the best of times for America and our Constitution and our way of life. We'll be examining all of that here tonight. Up next, Joe Biden's inauguration is next. Joining us now is Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, good to have you with us. This is becoming a concerted effort by corporate America, big tech, social media, the radical Dems to absolutely silence dissent from the right. I thought we would see this happen, but I never dreamed it would happen so quickly or so powerfully. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a terrible time for our country. We had that deadly violence last week, and the leftist politician class has followed up with attacks on the First Amendment rights of Americans. It's incredible. This summary impeachment of President Trump that will roll over the Constitution and his civil rights, that is obviously political. The left doesn't really care about the violence, by the way, or too many of the left doesn't care about the violence. Because, as you have pointed out and others, they've ratified and condoned it for months and if not years. This is about removing a popular political figure from the playing field so that they can have easier time of getting their agenda passed over the next year or two. But in the meantime, innocent Americans are being caught up. Now you join the military and you're worried about who you support politically, whether you're going to be questioned or not. Judicial Watch is being targeted on Twitter. I've been targeted. Parler has had their site taken down. And by the way,
Twitter, suspended, were you not?
Oh yeah, I've been locked out.
You were suspended for a week.
For posting.
What did you do?
I posted a tweet about hydroxychloroquine that I posted repeatedly, and that Twitter specifically had found to be not in violation of its rules. But they, without any warning, told me, oh, now it's in violation, and you're locked out for 7 days no matter what you do, even if you take it down. So, you know,
maybe they thought you were being repetitive.
Yeah, well, no, that isn't what they told me. But look, they're being dishonest. And this is the point about Parler. This is the point about Facebook and Google. And when you're dishonest and you're a publicly traded company, the Securities Exchange Commission should be investigating you. The Federal Trade Commission should be investigating you.
Oh, my gosh. My head is hurting.
230 doesn't protect you from engaging in business fraud.
Wait a minute, Tom. I agree with you right up to the point where another investigation, that's what this country needs. What we need are leaders who will stand up and stop this nonsense. There is no excuse for corporate America reflexively bending to its worst impulses, stifling dissent, targeting ideologically their, if you will, dissidents in this country as far as they're concerned. Look what's happening here. This is the left in Joe Biden's America. He said he wanted to heal people, and within 24 hours was out there in bone-crushing fashion trying to divide us even further. Nancy Pelosi, she looked venomous. She looked, I think, evil. She was talking to Leslie Stahl as she is spewing that nonsense about impeaching the president. Don't they understand? Americans remember that this president was under investigation for absolutely no reason as a candidate because of Hillary Clinton's fiction that was then peddled into the FBI. Don't they remember the absolutely hollow special counsel investigation that was baseless and led to his exoneration, and they looked They, the radical Dems, look further just like fools, and nasty fools at that. Then that ridiculous impeachment inquiry. This president has been under their so-called investigation, their efforts to block his agenda, to overthrow his presidency for more than 4 years, and now it continues, and they do so without shame. And the national left-wing media and corporate America really stand there as if this is the first instance in which this president has been attacked by the radical left in this country. Shame on corporate America. Shame on all of these people who are running these corporations without any regard for principle or honesty or decency.
Yeah, and of course the corporations know who's going to be buttering the bread over the next 4 years, and they're acting in a way to get on the good side of the Biden administration. And it used to be the media would point that out for us. Instead, you have the media inserting editorial comments, baselessly accusing the president of incitement when there is no evidence he incited anyone to do anything like what happened up on Capitol Hill. This was a permitted march.
To be clear, he did the opposite. Tom, it's important that we point this out. This left-wing narrative that has taken hold and seized the psyches of the left in corporate America, in particular Silicon Valley and social media, he did the exact opposite. He called for peaceful demonstration and protest. And by the way, that's a right of every single person who was there. What happened? What happened is the responsibility of those who invaded that Capitol building, and they should be held accountable and prosecuted for the shameless, unlawful acts that they committed. Tom Fenton will be back with us here later in the broadcast, joining our all-star panel. Tom, thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you later. Up next, John Brennan calls for president supporters to be publicly shamed. What separation from him and any other Maoist? We take it up after the break. Investigative journalist Sarah Carter joins us here next. Please stay with us. Breaking news, and corporate America has, as I said, seemingly lost its mind. Let's hope it's just for the moment. Verizon is the latest to align with the radical left and their narrative. Verizon saying they will suspend contributions to any member of Congress who voted in favor of objecting to election results. Any member. And former CIA Director John Brennan is calling on President Trump's supporters to publicly denounce the president and denounce, of course, the administration's agenda. Brennan tweeted this in part: "Total denunciation of a despot's legacy is necessary to eradicate any remaining malignancy." Brennan has gone full tilt Maoist. Joining us now, Sarah Carter, investigative reporter, Fox Business contributor, and great to see you, Sarah. Thanks for being with us. Brennan,
thank you, Lou.
Let's start with even the suggestion that he, how does he implement that? I mean, will he have brown shirts in the streets, knocking on doors? What is the template for Brennan's brilliant idea?
I think we live in terrifying times, Lou, and I'm not over-exaggerating this. I've talked to people who are terrified of speaking on the telephone. They don't even know if they should talk on Signal. They don't know if the FBI is listening to them, or these agencies that they believe have been weaponized against the American people are now working against them. And you see someone, a former head of the FBI, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, calling 74+ million Americans a malignancy, calling them a malignancy. Mm-hmm. The danger that this poses to our nation is great. And it's not just John Brennan. You had these people, his associates, like James Comey, like James Clapper, the former head of the DNI, spreading malicious lies and rumors about Donald Trump and people in his administration for over 4 years. And they used the media and their allies in the media to do it, like Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, like Twitter, Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg, and And there's no place for people to talk now. Now they're taking away our voice. Now they want to shut everyone down. Think about this. They're going to shut off communications, right? That's the first step. Then they dehumanize anybody associated with President Trump and spread lies about them. That's what you do to an enemy. That's not what you do to the American people.
Well said. And I have to say, Sarah, Jessica Hurd is the new, White House staff director. Her previous job was director of Facebook's regulatory scheme. And NSA spokeswoman Emily Horn, the former head of global policy communications for one of your favorite companies, Twitter. I mean, right. This is Silicon Valley, big tech, social media getting greater and greater power in the Biden administration. It tells us the direction that he will be going in, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And it shows you how feckless so many lawmakers were on the left and on the right, both of them. They didn't care about the American people. They cared about lining their pockets. They cared about their own agenda. You are 100% right, Lou. This is a problem that is in our Congress. We have to vote these people out of office. They do not care about the American people. And also the Department of Justice. Where was the Department of Justice for the last 4 years when people, bureaucrats from the Obama administration violated the law, broke the law over and over again, spying on American citizens, unmasking Americans? Nothing was done. Even when people like John Brennan lied before Congress or James Clapper lied before Congress, they weren't held accountable. Who was held accountable? Roger Stone? Roger Stone? When these people that are in high positions of power are now going to regain those positions of power to target Americans again.
It's a very tough lesson for Republicans and a very tough lesson for the citizens who put those Republicans in office. Sarah Carter, we'll see you later in the broadcast as well. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Up next, today, after Amazon Web Services deplatformed Parler, Parler sued Amazon for breaching a contract stating, quote, AWS's decision to effectively terminate Parler's account is apparently motivated by political animus. It is also apparently designed to reduce competition in the micro-blogging services market to the benefit of Twitter. Our next guest is the founder and CEO of a social media platform that does not censor free speech and does not sell people's data. It is called CloutHub. And in the past couple of days, some 800,000 new people have joined the platform. Joining us now is Jeff Brain. He is the CEO of the CloutHub, and we're glad to have you with us, Jeff. This is an outright, it seems to me, effort on the part of big tech to shut down competition. I can't imagine Parler having a better claim for antitrust than its case against Amazon. This is really ugly, what we are seeing right now from big tech, from Silicon Valley. Your thoughts?
Well, absolutely. You know, big tech is putting their thumb on the political scale, right? We're seeing it over and over again. I was talking to General Flynn on Friday. He mentioned that 4.5 million conservatives were removed from Twitter that day. It's just unconscionable. Americans need to wake up at what's happening. It's not just going to be against the conservatives. Eventually, it'll be against the left as well.
And one of the things driving this, it seems to me, and I'd like to get your view on it, is Parler does not sell its users' data like Twitter does, like Facebook does. You also don't data mine. You are you saw yourself a people's site. This is really a battle for survival here because, frankly, the way in which we're watching Google operate, watching Twitter, there is no wall against invading everyone's privacy.
You're absolutely correct. You know, big tech has lost its way. They started out with the best of intentions, but over time, they've been intrusive, invading our privacy. They've become unhealthy. It's divisive. And what you're seeing is a second generation of social media platforms coming along, doing it differently. And that's what we see with competition generally, right? We address issues or concerns of people about the prior generation. So free speech, privacy, and health are big issues, as well as, most social media platforms are about, look at me, I got this many likes and followers, and what we're doing, with CloudHub is giving people a platform with lots of tools where they can connect, collaborate, and take action on the issues they care about.
And are you concerned, as we're sitting here talking today, about the actions of the biggest companies in big technology and social media? Are you worried that Amazon, I don't know if you're on Amazon AWS, I do know that are you not on Apple as well as Google, their app stores?
Sure, we all have to be on those Apple, and Android stores. You're correct, and we were subjected to censorship by IBM actually earlier in November when they took down a number of our channels. They host our video channels, so we're well aware of the threat. We on our platform use robust monitoring. That's one of the hardest things about a platform is monitoring the behavior on it. But we are very aggressive on that.
Do you think that if you don't, are they effectively in charge of what you can put on your site?
No, they're not. They do have a clause typically in their terms and conditions that if there is something objectionable, that we would take it down in 24 hours. We don't allow hate on our platform. We don't allow violence. So we're not facing some of the issues other people face with other platforms. We use AI to keep our platform interaction really positive and have a civil discourse on our platform.
And Parler, of course, uses basically a community standard and lets the community decide. It is a very difficult balance. But the idea that these giant tech firms are deciding what you and I and everyone else can say, what we can read, what we can see, is an outrage. Do you remember when Google first, it was a very popular expression. They claimed their first tenet as an organization was first do no evil. Do you remember that? Right now, Silicon Valley is doing lots of evil, and it's how far we've come. What is the solution here, Jeff? Do you have one?
The solution is to support alternatives like CloudHub, like Parler, like MeWe, and others. Really, that's the answer. It's been the answer historically when we had big tobacco, right? And people spoke up. What if big tech was there then? Would they be shutting down our concerns about cancer, right? It's the same thing today. Right. They're limiting what we can talk about, and then they're limiting what side of the issue we can talk about. It's hard to believe we're living in America. People need to wake up and speak up.
I have never heard in my entire life so many Americans expressing fear, whether in whatever form over this past weekend. I mean, Americans are truly afraid of what we are becoming, and becoming rather rapidly. Jeff Rain, thanks for being with us. We hope you'll come back, as this story is sure to continue and remain prominent. Up next, the transformative agenda of Joe Biden. Breaking news, and corporate America has, as I said, seemingly lost its mind. Let's hope it's just for the moment. Verizon is the latest to align with the radical left and their narrative. Verizon saying they will suspend contributions to any member of Congress who voted in favor of objecting to election results. Any member. And former CIA Director John Brennan is calling on President Trump's supporters to publicly denounce the president and denounce, of course, the administration's agenda. Brennan tweeted this in part: "Total denunciation of a despot's legacy is necessary to eradicate any remaining malignancy." Brennan has gone full tilt Maoist. Joining us now, Sarah Carter, investigative reporter, Fox Business contributor, and great to see you, Sarah. Thanks for being with us. Brennan,
thank you, Lou.
Let's start with even the suggestion that how does he implement that? I mean, will he have brown shirts in the streets, knocking on doors? What is the What is the template for Brennan's brilliant idea?
I think we live in terrifying times, Lou, and I'm not over exaggerating this. I've talked to people who are terrified of speaking on the telephone. They don't even know if they should talk on Signal. They don't know if the FBI is listening to them, or these agencies that they believe have been weaponized against the American people are now working against them. And you see someone, a former head of the FBI, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, calling 74+ million Americans a malignancy, calling them a malignancy. The danger that this poses to our nation is great. And it's not just John Brennan. You had these people, his associates, like James Comey, like James Clapper, the former head of the DNI, spreading malicious lies and rumors about Donald Trump and people in his administration for over 4 years. And they used the media and their allies in the media to do it, like Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, like Twitter, Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg. And there's no place for people to talk now. Now they're taking away our voice. Now they want to shut everyone down. Think about this. They're going to shut off communications, right? That's the first step. Then they dehumanize anybody associated with President Trump and spread lies about them. That's what you do to an enemy. That's not what you do to the American people.
Well said. And I have to say, Sarah, Jessica Hurd is the new, the new White House staff director. Her previous job was director of Facebook's regulatory scheme. And NSA spokeswoman Emily Horn, the former head of global policy communications for one of your favorite companies, Twitter. I mean, right. This is Silicon Valley, big tech, social media getting greater and greater power in the Biden administration. It tells us the direction that he will be going in, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And it shows you how feckless so many lawmakers were on the left and on the right, both of them. They didn't care about the American people. They cared about lining their pockets. They cared about their own agenda. You are 100% right, Lou. This is a problem that is in our Congress. We have to vote these people out of office. They do not care about the American people. And also the Department of Justice. Where was the Department of Justice for the last 4 years when people, bureaucrats from the Obama administration violated the law, broke the law over and over again, spying on American citizens, unmasking Americans? Nothing was done. Even when people like John Brennan lied before Congress or James Clapper lied before Congress, they weren't held accountable. Who was held accountable? Roger Stone? Roger Stone? When these people that are in high positions of power are now going to regain those positions of power to target Americans again.
It's a very tough lesson for Republicans and a very tough lesson for the citizens who put those Republicans in office. Sarah Carter, we'll see you later in the broadcast as well. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Up next.